aka John the Animator Guy. So I'm wondering how many people have shown up, and if you haven't shown up yet, I'm waiting for you to let me know. Wave at me, post a little comment. But anyway, I wanted to thank everybody for, especially my supporters, for helping and make the my Indiegogo campaign possible. So let's see. Is there anybody in the chat? Let's take a look. See here. We're going to take a look. See and let's see. We'll take a look here. And oh, well, nope. No one's here. So I guess I will practice. Yeah, I was really surprised to see how people had supported supporting my both of my crowdfunding campaigns. The first one was in Kickstarter, and the second, obviously, in Indiegogo, which will be ending in a few hours now. So I'm quite excited about the fact that I can get these books printed, and that there is a call for them. You know, it's kind of funny to be able to put these things, this book together and cull through all the drawings that I've done over the past, 40 years, which is kind of funny to think that I've carried some of these drawings for all that time, especially the Boba Fett drawings. Let's see here. I'm going to try again and see if anybody is coming. And let's see. Nope. Okay. Well. Oh, here we go. I see a chat. Hey, I see Rob. Wow, that's great. Rob Barnes, Peter Mayer. Yes, okay, great. I've got to figure out how to get this this up and running here. There are two different ways of doing. I'm looking at the chat. Can you hear me? Okay, that's the first thing. I come across okay. And I'm going to try it again. This is all still brand new. Yes. Okay. That's good. Well, I'll talk this way. It's very, very, very strange still. It's only been this is my second live telecast, and it's strange talking to myself in this room. I mean, sometimes I'm talking to myself in my head when I'm drawing, but hey, you know, that's one of those things that every artist does. So I'm going to try something here so I can see the chat here. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. This is the only way that I can do this is I've got to switch the tabs, because I've got the inexpensive the free version of the StreamYard, and this is a brand new thing for me too. So but anyway, putting the portfolio together, I had to figure out what would be the most interesting drawings of all, you know, and then how many do I do of each section of my life, pretty much, and how to make a comment, make or write a bit of the text to explain the context of all of what these drawings represent. Um, anyway, I really am glad and very, very happy and I don't know, honored that you take the time to spend money on this, on something like this, and help me print these books. So far, I figured that I'll probably do between 150 to 100 to 200 print run at this point. It'll be trade paperback and perfect binding, and the large size version, the A form, 8.5 by 11.7, and 3/4 inches. So, and doing it on a landscape, so that you can flip it over and not go up and down as a portrait. The drawings are full size, so you'll get to see exactly how big or how small my drawings were. Um, so anyway, one of the things is that as I said, it's going into it'll be the last few hours now, and then afterwards it will go into InDemand. The it made its modest funding, and I'm looking forward to just getting on with it. But Christmas time is the wrong time to do any printing. Everything is so messed up. There's everybody, the various printers are going on vacation and such. So I figured I would be finishing out the layout and then I think it will go to February. That's when I will be sending the final files to the printer, and I'm hoping to be I will be hitting the the March and April dates for the various fundraisers. So I will be able to fulfill them then. Peter Mayer says, I hadn't thought about that Boba Fett cartoon in years, but as a kid, that was so exciting for me. Yeah, it was exciting for me too to be part of that. That was one of the things that people forget, that back then there wasn't a lot going on. I mean, the whole idea of Star Wars, and that was such a brand new thing and so exciting. And then to get a chance to work on a character that might be the new villain. That's the thing we were thinking about. You said, okay, well, there was Darth Vader, all right. No one thought about or had any inkling about there being a trilogy, at least not yet. So we're talking about 1977, 1978, and it was early 1978. So there was no inkling of what was happening. Everything was so secretive with George Lucas. He ran a tight ship, and nobody got any kind of leakage as to who was what, and what was happening, and what kind of script there was. So the idea of young people like myself at the time, I was 28 years old, that we were going to do something very different. So, well, that's the way it happened. So anyway, I'm kind of thinking about the status of the book layout right now. I've done all of the basic layout. I know what the drawings. I have got the drawings laid out, and now I'm going to start. Oh, Chris Evans, hello. You're going to pop in for a little while and listen. Oh, you were going to get Chris, you said that you had to go to sleep for work or something. Uh, well, I'm glad that you took the time to come and say hello. Um, just I'm three people. That's great. That's wonderful. Um, so I was going to say the I'm now at the point where I'm going to start focusing on the writing of the text to give you an idea of what it was like during the time that those drawings were, were being done. And I'm focusing on, I go back and forth between the writing and the drawing of the Boba Fett sketches. They are taking a little longer than what I thought they would take for each drawing because I'm being a little more careful than what I thought I was going to be. But I wanted to give everybody who paid their good money a solid drawing. I didn't want anybody to feel that they were just dashed off. So you'll get a nice drawing. Um, the the thing about this, writing the text for this portfolio, it almost sounds. I mean, basically, it's coming into becoming an autobiographical piece, because there are some things where I'm saying this is how we felt, and then giving little bits of stories that no one's ever heard, and so I think this would be something that a lot of animation and comic book people would want to know about. And so, pass it along. I mean, hopefully, I will keep it in demand after I do all of the um, fulfillment of the two campaigns, and then maybe there'll be a second swing of material, of supporters who want the books. That's why I'm overprinting a little bit, and we'll see where it goes with that. Uh, has anybody got any questions? Did you have anything burning in desire to know? Uh, but anyway, I'm kind of thinking about what my future projects are going to be. That's something that I've thought about a lot in for 2020, because once I'm done, doing the drawings and laying everything out, I still have more material that I want to work with. So the I don't know. I've thought about the launching the John the Animator comics, a little line of comic books that I'm doing for myself, and then crowdfunding those. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what brings. Um, there's the material I want to do is more aimed at kids that are between the ages of 12, 13, and down, and to about 4. That's something that is not, I don't think that market, those readers are well served at all, and that's the thing that I'm wondering about. So, the I'm thinking about, I'm going to carry on with the Snuffy and Zoe material, and maybe my Mega Moose character. That was something that I dug out back in I did back in 1989, but I'm updating it for today's audience. So let's see. Let's see here. Oh, Peter, may I ask if you'd rather work in comics or animation? Well, I've made the transition to comics, and the reason that is because animation, as you know, is a very long process, and I have, you can only do so much, and then the there's no place really to show your films. You know what I mean? As an independent person, there isn't any place to do it. Not the type of material that I want to do. Um, I did the Snuffy and Zoe cartoon. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but it's one of my it's, you can run down my the list of cartoon of rather of films videos on my YouTube channel, and you'll see that 2.5 minute piece. Um, Honestly, the, I was told that it was too innocent for the internet. I mean, unless you are a well-known big company, you know, that it would be. It's there's no way of promoting it. But I do think that's what led me to doing a comic book version, or of Snuffy and Zoe, and I've done two of them. And so I'm going to be working. I'm thinking of bringing those out next year. The and it seems to be get good response from the from for 4 to 8 year olds, and that's a very strong, a solid area that I don't think very many people are approaching to. Let me see here. Let's see. Okay, Primal Rage 7 says, "Would you ever do a book just on the Dragon's Lair and Space Ace time?" Um, there's a difference between, I think Bluth owns all of those drawings, for the most part. I mean, the I think the he would do it himself. I wouldn't be able to give anything. I really wouldn't be able to do as good a job on that as I can with all the other materials. I mean, there was a period of time that I was there, and I worked on both properties, but I wasn't as intimately involved with them as I was with, say, Rock and Rule, or the Boba Fett characters, or doing the Batman commercials. There's a big difference for that. So I think that let's see, I'm trying to give myself. Let's see. Can I? I want to eyeball you. Oh, um, yeah. So I think that's something that I really can't. I can't really do justice to. So um, so I hope that answers for you, Primal Rage. I'm sorry that I wouldn't be able to do it, because I would not have the access to those drawings, that would be able to give you something. Um, Chris seems a pretty good idea. There doesn't seem to be that many comics out there that age group and kids can use stuff to. Yeah, and Peter says, "Too innocent is a dumb thought." There are readers of all. Yeah, there are. But once again, that's coming from somebody who thought, well, there's not enough violence in it. It's too young. And one of the big problems is that there is a lot of, there's a problem with trust on the internet, and so unless you are a major, a cartoonist, you know, um, the the problems with getting material, a comic, cartoon material, that animation that parents would trust. They didn't have to look at and really go over a fine tooth comb, and then the amount of time that it takes. It took me 2 years to do all by myself those 2.5 minutes, and that means from beginning to end. So it was way too much, too long to do it. I enjoyed doing it. I'm glad I did it. I started the second one, and then I said, I'm getting a little older for this, so I switched over to the comic idea, and I was able to do two of them, two 40-page books in a year. So that worked out for me. Let's see. Primal. Oh, let's see. Primal Rage, more like a biography of your time there, perhaps. Yeah, I'd love to know the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, it's really interesting. The technology. The best thing I would be able to do is to give a I would be it would be a text account of my time there, and that I would have to get names and such, and that's I don't know. I understand your want, and I don't know. Maybe that's something I could do. Yeah, 2 books a year is commendable. Yeah, that was my full-time job. I mean, let's face it. I spent all of my time working on those 2 books. I'd like to be able to maintain that that pace for an age group that was older, because once again, you've got to get adults to okay getting the books to them. Now, when you're 10, 12 years old, then there's a different thing where they start looking on the internet and they start playing around with that. And so, with Indiegogo and with Kickstarter, there is a lot. Oh, are you gone, Primal Rage? You're saying thanks, John. Okay. I'm glad to have you there. I'm glad that you came by, Primal. I think with a 8 to 12-year-old, 13-year-old property, I can get more adventurous, and I can I can do a lot more with the characters. It'll be more of a superhero kind of material that is, I think it's more hearkening to what I remember enjoying, which is more of the Captain Marvel, the old. Oh, okay. I'm going to buy a Ruff Sketch now. Okay, great. Thank you, Primal. Thank you. The what was I saying? The lost the train of thought here. Oh yeah, the Mega Moose, the Beast Within concept is more of a Captain Marvel, old 1940s, 50s, maybe even 60s style of storytelling. I liked the original Captain Marvel, but I also liked the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and even the Hulk of the very early 60s. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to write. It gives me a chance to play around with complete stories each issue, and I mean a complete story of 24 pages, maybe even 32 pages. The things can all be. Yeah, you were talking about old time Captain. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I got back my train of thought. Bob, yeah, Rob, writing and doing all the art and lettering on a comic book takes a lot of time. Yes. You know that, Rob. You know that. So anyway, I would like to, again, create the series and the type of material, the series, the type of material that I would like to do that comes out of my studio. It'll be I think, different from what others are doing today. I'm bringing all of the experience that I've had writing and drawing stories for, from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s even, and bringing all that with my sensitivity as an artist, and relating back to what I found entertaining at that time of being a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kid. So we'll see what happens. Um, there's all kinds of stuff that you used to be able to do, and today is a little bit too, you know, might even be considered, be too violent. I mean, Captain Marvel smacking, one of his villains and hitting him in the jaw. That's typical stuff for 8, 9, 10-year-old kids. And when I was growing up, but today, that's like, what was it? PG-13, I guess. I mean, that's really crazy. But I figured I'd have more leeway and more of an audience of parents and young parents, looking for material on through the crowdfunding source. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Primal Rage. You just bought one of my books. Thank you. Well, it wasn't. It's not a book. You're not buying. You are supporting, and I thank you very much. So let's see. There any when you're doing material, I guess what it is, it's almost when you're doing stuff for yourself, and you're hoping that there's an audience there. I think you have to really approach it not just as a of a monetary thing, and saying, well, maybe I can earn a living this way. Most businesses don't really, in the old days, you don't really make a success of it until after 5 years of doing stuff. But today, an artist, you just can't, you don't have the time. You're looking for some way of monetizing things. I'm looking at it from the point of view as, I'm pretty much retired, so I'm putting all my time into it, and then I can experiment and not worry about getting, making a lot of money, by the sales and how big my crowdfunding is. That takes the stress out of, having to see a big profit, because if the crowdfunding, doesn't work out, well, then I don't print the books, but I still enjoy the process of creating. So hopefully these things will carry on, and I'll be able to do, a number of them, at least one a year, or maybe two a year, of, as I said, anywhere between 24-page stories and maybe 48 pages, 60 pages a year, and then be able to, present them as a crowdfunding. So, anyway, that's where I am right now. This is great. I'm very glad that you all came by. Primal, Peter, Rob, and Chris is gone. I see Chris has left the building. So, any other questions any questions that you all have? Something that you can, just let me know in the chat right now. That way, I'm feeling like I'm trying to, I guess, channel Peter Samedi, the way he handles it, his his live streams. And I think that's great. I mean, what he's doing is fantastic. I really enjoy what he's done. I wish him all the best. Oh yeah, wait, Mega. Well, here's the thing on Mega Moose. Um, what I've done is I've got as part of Rough Sketch, I've got about 4 pages, 3 or 4 pages of Mega Moose strips that I did for for when I printed it out, or rather I had it published back in 1989, 1890, and that went on for about in a publication called, I think, Comedy Relief, and um, the the strips were done and in black and white, and there's a big touch of Rocky and Bullwinkle to it, and but they were in black and white, and so I'm using those, and then I've got 2 pages of the updated secret origin for Mega Moose. And so we'll see what happens with that. It's the same character, only I've added his secret identity and how he becomes Mega Moose and what some of the parameters are. So you'll have that in there. Uh, so let's see. Let's see. Okay, Peter, if I may offer my opinion, I wouldn't overthink what parents will like or want, and someone shouldn't create something that they think someone wants. Just make a quality you're proud of, and hopefully the people will get behind it. Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. You just have to have a certain amount of editorial discipline, so that you know who it is that you're aiming it at, and don't overshoot the mark and don't talk down. That's one of the biggest things is I'm not doing a message book or a piece. So, um, but there should be, within the character itself, you should be able to understand what are the characters, how do the readers relate to those characters. And one of the things I want to talk about at some point, and hopefully I'd be able to do this, in a second, the next get together, is maybe talk with other writers, get them to be on board so we can have a back and forth chat. Because I have my theory about writing, and and how writing is a very underserved and undeveloped part of comics right now. That's my opinion, and okay, and I could be totally wrong, but it's just my opinion. It's my taste. So let's see what if I could get others to talk. At least we could go back and forth and talk about the process and what it is that they're trying to get across with their comics. Because unless you have something, a story, if you have characters that the readers can relate to, then no matter how well and how beautiful the drawings are that you're creating for your book, they're just pinups and splash pages and so on and so forth. But they're not really telling a story. They're not really connecting, and you can't. And no matter how dramatic you can make those drawings, they're there for one pop. But once you've looked at it once, twice, people people need to be able to relate to the characters that are being affected in the story. So anyway, that's my little thing right now about how important I feel story is. Let me answer. Chris, I'm still here, just listening quietly. Can you tell me more about the comic that you're including as a PDF in Ruff Sketch? Okay, that is Stuffy and Zoe's second book. That is What Do You Do with a Stinky Pirate? And those are my two characters, Stuffy and Zoe, who are siblings. they're kind of they're bear little siblings, and they they use their imagination to jump into their toy box and have all kinds of fantastic adventures. In this particular case, I won't tell you exactly what it is, but it involves them jumping into, they're losing their ball, in their toy box, in their soccer ball in the toy box. They jump in and they wind up being captured by a bunch of balloon pirates. These are pirates that have been, that are constructed of balloons. And so it's a story that goes on for 32, rip roaring, full colored pages. And so that's what you're getting. You're getting that, those 32 pages, and drawing lessons on how to draw these characters. And so that's what one of the elements of the PD. That's the cartoon. That's the comic book that you get, and it's again, it was aimed at being an A4, which is a 8x3. It's the same size as the other, rather the print book. The I wanted to give something besides just the PDF of Ruff Sketch, because I wanted to give something extra, but I didn't want to give you something that was just a bookmark or a sticker or whatnot. I wanted to give you something of context that represented what I'm doing today, and you also get to see a little bit in Ruff Sketch. But I figured, let me give you the Stinky Pirate as sort of a as a bonus. Chris, glad you're keeping it in demand for some time. Give it more time to spread the word about it and get you more. Yeah, I figured, why cut it out? You can't do that in Kickstarter. Kickstarter has no way of keeping the campaign going. And like all things, and this is one of the things that makes me crazy, word of mouth needs time. You can't just put something out there and expect it to be an overnight success. It needs to be handed out, and in some way, shape, or form, people have to talk about it. But in many cases, after a month, after 4 weeks, everything is pulled. I mean, okay, in terms of in comic book shops, okay, once it's there, that's that. If it sits on the shelf, that's it. But if it's also a case in, like, for example, Peter Samedi with Alternative Comics, he can't get reorders. So how do you build an audience if let's say Diamond doesn't won't fulfill reorders of books that stores have ordered, so through Diamond. But anyway, now Peter has figured out a way for himself. We figure Peter's figured a way to make his work, over just bypass all of those gatekeepers. And so I'm hoping that with the InDemand, I'll be able to grow the audience for the work that I do. And Peanuts or Calvin and Hobbes? I'm sorry, Calvin and Hobbes. I'll tell you this one though: the hottest thing in high school for me was Snoopy and the Red Baron. Those comics, that run of Snoopy and the Red Baron, were great. But in terms of what was done outside of that, it was Calvin. It's Calvin and Hobbes. That's what I say. So, well, let's see if I got anything in. checking my notes here. Do I have anything to say? Nope, that's pretty much what I've got. Um, now, please, next time, just check things out. Turns out I the you know invite people over and maybe make suggestions of writers that you like, that you think that we can have a conversation with about the type of material that is being produced, and even just having a store a gab fet back and forth chat with how do you work your stories? How do you get it? How do you make a solid story? What is it that you're looking for? What do you think the readers are looking for? Anyway, that's what I'm hoping to do in the next, our next get together. So I want to thank you for coming, and I'm very glad that you did. And Peter, Rob, Chris, Primal Rage, thank you for showing up, and thanks for sticking around. So I guess until next time, unless there are anybody else having anything to ask, I will say ciao. Okay. Okay. Bye for now.